The Graphic Histories Podcast.
I got bitten by a radioactive bug. I tried an experimental drug. Went up for a stroll on a gamma testing range. I found an enchanted hurricane. I made a serum that made me small. I modified the serum so it would make me tall. Radioactive isotope in my eyes. Dying alien helped me accessorize. I gained the proportion and strength of a spider. Now I'm invincible and I can fly. I lost my sight, my other senses were heightened. I'm gonna put on my pajamas and go fight crime.
Hey, it's that time of year. In fact, it's the last time of the year for the Graphic Histories Podcast. My name is Andre Mayette, your podcast host. Big thanks to Uka the Mock for our theme song, Superpowers. And big thanks to you, gentle listener, for tuning in once again to another show. In fact, the final one of 2024. And what a year it's been. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of insane stuff going on, a lot of interesting stuff in the comic industry. I mean, the most notable one for me is that the Superman teaser trailer from James Gunn has finally dropped. I am so excited for this movie. And I know I've talked about it at length before, but it looks like I'm getting a hope-filled Superman, a bright, hope-filled Superman that stands for something more than just cool action sequences and like edgy, cool fiction. Like we're getting a real, looks like hope-filled story. And I guess I said the word hope like 1,000 times, but it's true. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted of my Superman story. Hope. And that trailer is beautiful. I'm sure you've probably seen it. If you haven't, go out and watch it. If you're into the teaser trailers, if you try to avoid everything, just know that if you like James Gunn's work, this is going to definitely fall in line with that. And check out his Creature Commander show as well, which is also really, really good. So I think the future of the DC film and television is bright. So I'm very excited to see more of that. Oh man, that trailer. You got Crypto in there, and Super Dog running around. We see a brief glimpse of Metamorpho. We see Mr. Terrific. We see Hawkgirl. We see Guy Gardner. Luther. I don't know if I mentioned Luther. No look at the engineer yet, but I'm sure she'll be popping up soon enough. Yeah, it's super cool. I'll be there and be super excited about it when it comes out. Our last guest of 2024 is Devmalya Pramanik, who is a comic artist working currently for Marvel on the Moon Knight book, doing some amazing work and beautiful, breathtaking art. And he's a real revenance for Spider-Man 2099, which I do as well, Miguel O'Hara. And we do discuss that quite a bit, but we get into his story, his history, how he got to comics, and yeah, great guy, great conversation. Like really, really, like as far as getting into the motivations, the interests, how the creator came to be the person they are. I think we really get into in this one, and it's a great conversation. I'm really glad that it's the one to bookend the year. So big thanks to Devmalya for being on the show, and big thanks to everyone for tuning in. I hope you had a good year. I hope it's been a good run here at the Graphic Histories Podcast. I've had a lot of fun. The biggest new addition to my life is the credit union that I'm the board of directors for gave money out to the employees and to the board members, wanting them to give it to a community group or a charity for the season. So I always give mine to the SPCA, and because of that, I stopped in to drop it off, and I ended up falling in love with a little kitten that was there. His name was Frodo. And I ended up taking him home. So now we have a fourth cat. His name is Frodo. He has cerebellar hypophagia, which is like a condition in which the movement part of his brain didn't develop quite properly. So he is wobbly. Sometimes when he moves, he has a little bit of a wobble to him. It doesn't seem to stop him. He's very happy. He's moving around. I slept with him in the spare bedroom last night. He's cuddled right up to me and slept there pretty much the entire night with breaks to go to the bathroom and eat. But he's adorable, and he's very cute. And my heart is full, which is very nice. So it's a nice addition. Not something I intended to do, not something that I expected to have on my plate in the holiday season, but there it is. I'm a sucker, and and I have a fourth cat. So welcome to the menagerie, Frodo. And, I guess in a way he's an inadvertent part of the Graphic Histories team. I'm sure at some point he'll be sleeping by my feet with Lebowski when I record these because he's very cuddly, like super cuddly. He loves cuddles. It's like what he lives for. So very, very happy. Like I said, my heart is full, which is nice. And the holiday season is upon us. So I guess as we're listening to this, you've already gone through your Christmas. I hope you had a good one. I'm recording this just before Christmas as I'm getting ready for the holiday. But I hope you had a great season. I know, based on previous seasons and what I have lined up this year, I'm sure mine's great. Mine's going to be great, and I'm going to be loving it. So I'll be out there reveling in the holiday spirit. I hope you are too. If you have time in between to be listening to this, I guess you got a break. So hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully enjoy this conversation. So here it is, my talk with Devmalya Pramanik.
Yeah, sorry about that. I actually am still working on the deadline. So
Oh, no problem. I
uh,
appreciate you taking the time.
yeah, no
You sure it's
problem.
okay
Yeah,
to chat? I don't want to take you away
yeah.
from the work.
No, that's fine. I'm almost at the end anyway.
Oh, that's good. Can you say what you're working on?
Yeah, it's Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, the art
Yeah,
in that is freaking gorgeous, dude.
yeah. Well, my issue is gonna come out on the fourth issue is gonna come out in January.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be my first issue on the Moon Fist of Khonshu.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I've worked on Vengeance of
Right.
the Moon Knight. So that was my jumping point into Moon Knight, basically.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, you're in Toronto?
Yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Oh, excellent. Right in the city?
Yeah, it's well, no, actually, sorry. I'm not in Toronto. I'm in Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Ontario, and I'm in Peterborough.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like an hour away from Toronto.
My father-in-law, that's where he's from. So,
Oh,
Peterborough,
cool.
Ontario. Yeah, I'm out in Nova Scotia.
Oh, you're
Uh,
over in Nova Scotia. That's
all the
nice.
Yeah, it's a nice area. I like it.
I think
Um,
Jed McKay's also in those. Oh
he
wait, no,
is.
maybe he.
No, he
Yeah,
is.
oh, he
No,
is.
he's in
Okay.
PE. He's in PEI. Sorry, yes, Prince
Oh,
Edward
oh
Island.
yeah.
Ed Brisson lives in Nova Scotia.
I see. I see.
A few other people do too. I think Stephen McNiven lives out here too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually
Yeah.
saw him at Toronto Fan Expo.
Oh, right. He's a cool guy. Really
Yeah,
quiet.
he's a cool guy. He's
Nick
a fun
Brad.
guy.
Yeah, Nick Bradshaw lives in New Brunswick, which is pretty close. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's the thing. I'm still learning the places in over here. Basically, I'm still new.
No.
Been here a few months. February, I'll be here 12 months. So not a few
Oh,
months
so you're
anymore.
just new to the big province.
Yeah,
Oh, that's exciting.
exactly.
Where are you from originally?
So that's the thing. I'm originally from India.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here living with my partner, and we are applying for the common law visa
Yep.
together. So yeah, for now, just staying, learning Canada, and working here,
Oh, well, you sound like you're
enjoying
doing
my time.
great. What part of India are you from?
I'm from West Bengal.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so have you been there until you moved here?
Yeah, I have. I grew up there until I moved. Yeah,
Wow. So were comics part of your childhood? Was that something you grew
yeah,
up
yeah.
with?
Comics, definitely grew up with
I
comics,
have
and
no frame of reference for what comics in India would be like. So,
yeah, the thing is, India is very different because there's no there's a comic scene, but we are like very stuck in the mythology part of it still. Like
okay.
nowadays, it's a bit different, but back when I was coming up, there wasn't much. Like people were excited, but that was it. There were no moves happening,
Mm.
and yeah, like it's a place where we lack marketing mainly.
No, okay.
So that's the thing. We had imprints that would sell like small digest-sized issues, back issues of Marvel and DC.
Mm-hmm.
This imprint called Gotham Comics
Mm-hmm.
that would sell both Marvel and DC, and you could get that at stalls,
Oh.
for yeah, whatever, like a quarter,
Mm-hmm.
like 25 cents or something like that. And yeah, that was basically my introduction. I grew a collection of those. And then when I grew older, I started buying like trade paperbacks. And yeah, that's basically how I grew up learning comics.
Wow. So what were the like? Did you have a favorite of the digest comics you were buying? Was there like heroes you're following or?
Um, well, that's the thing is, you know, Adam Kubert was always
Oh yeah.
amazing, right? Adam Kubert, like whenever I saw his stuff, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that. um, his uh, his Ultimate X-Men.
Oh.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Like that's the thing. I mainly got that for you know, the art,
Mm.
right? The writing I didn't jive with very much, but I like the art. Then there are so many, so
Mm.
many influences, so many people I enjoyed. Like that's the thing. As an artist, I never really went for writers. I never
Mm.
was like, oh, I gotta pick up that writer. I gotta pick up that writer's work. It was mostly, yeah, mostly just
Mostly the art.
artists. Yeah,
Beautiful. Well, you picked some good ones to start with. I mean, those Adam
yeah,
Kubert Ultimate X-Men comics are beautiful.
yeah. Those were very formational for me. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. I don't know if I have any single issues of the Frank Quietly stuff.
Mm.
Frank Quietly is another one, but I don't think I ever found his work in the single issues. It
Mm.
was mostly the Igor Corday stuff
Ah,
from
okay.
the new X-Men, yeah, right?
Yes, yeah.
So those were the ones I got in the single issues. I never really wasn't lucky enough to get Frank Whiteley's new X-Men stuff. But yeah, I would have bought that in a heartbeat because Frank Whiteley is such a phenomenon, right?
He's one of my favorites. I have a
So
friend
good,
who
so good.
I have a friend that probably the gentleman who reached out to you initially that I do an X-Men podcast with, and we sort of argue about his artwork because I'm a huge fan of Grant Morrison. I'm a huge fan of Frank
Yeah,
Quitely. So that new X-Men run is like one of the seminal X-Men runs for me. Not so
yeah,
much for him. So we're constantly butting heads over it. But his
yeah.
work on like
Well,
All-Star Superman and like the JLA 2, like all that
yeah.
stuff is so good.
That's the thing. He is to me. He's the one who brings like I don't usually read a lot of Grant Morrison stuff,
Hmm.
but whenever he and Grant Morrison team up, I read that. Whoever he
Hmm.
teams up with, like I read Jupiter's Legacy with
Mm.
Mark Miller, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't know. The writing kind of doesn't. I don't really get the writing, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's okay. I'll read it for the Frank Whiteley art,
Yeah. Oh man, that's fantastic.
right?
So like so are there like you said that most of the normal Indian comics are like are mostly based on old myths
Very
and stuff.
much back
Yeah.
then. Nowadays, people are taking more chances. New IPs are coming out.
Hmm.
New things are coming out. They're trying to experiment a bit more. And that's the thing. I think now the main thing with India is going to be marketing, because India is creating more different kinds of stories. Still
Hmm.
a lot of mythological, historical stories, but
Hmm.
they are kind of getting a hunger for newer stories. And
Hmm.
yeah, like the industry, I wouldn't still say is very vast in India, but it has potential. You just need
Yeah.
someone to come in and market it with the things that are actually popular in India. That's like cricket and Bollywood.
Yeah.
You
Well,
need to market with that.
I was gonna say like it's hard to believe that they don't have any like homegrown superheroes because a lot of their films are almost
Yeah, they do,
like
they
moving
do,
comic
but
books.
yeah, they do. But the problem is that the homegrown superheroes usually always follow the mold of the Western
Ah,
superheroes.
okay. So they don't
They
really have
haven't
an Indian
really
voice. It's more like just
not
mimicking the
such.
Western. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there hasn't been a seminal writer who like actually digs into how the climate of India affects these comics, right?
Mm.
It's all very much in the vein of action heavy. Yeah, I haven't. At least I like when I grew up, I was just reading them, and to me, it felt like they were just trying to copy, like not
Mm.
copy, but like just have action and like not much thought, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at the good runs, good comics happening in the West, they usually try to tackle politics and culture
Mm.
in a very interesting way.
Mm.
But didn't seem like that was an interesting thing to focus on for the Indian market, and that's why I always struggle with Indian comics. It was fun because again, one of the first comics that I really enjoyed was actually an Indian comic adaptation of an Indian superhero show that I grew up watching. The art was pretty good, like pretty great, and like that was one of the like I was very young, but that was one of the things that inspired me. But that's the thing again, it's like the push towards making unique comics is kind of low in India. And it makes sense because it's not really something people go after a lot.
Mm.
Different things are popular in India, that's all.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, like it seems like as far as India is such a broad market of people that
Yeah.
that it seems like a lot of things are marketed towards it or try to
Yes.
change what they do.
Yes.
Like, because Marvel had their own sort of Indian line of characters and
Yeah,
their
they
version
did.
of
They
Spider-Man
did.
and all that, which of course he showed up in the
Exactly.
new Spider-Verse movie.
I read that too when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you ever read that Spider-Man, I don't know if you did.
Yeah.
It was
Been a while now, but yes.
Yeah, but yeah, I never really saw anything in it that actually like it was just basically a beat by beat copy of the Norman Osborn Peter Parker conflict.
Yeah, I find that when because they did like an Asian version too, and they did a Japanese version, like kind of like a manga one,
Yeah.
and it just seems like I don't know how like it seems like they really make a great
Yeah.
effort to sort of tap into the culture itself instead of just skinning something.
Yeah, I really like. There was a manga of Spider-Man that came out. It's not really Spider-Man, but it's like Spider-Man Red, I think, where this guy who's like a climber, he finds a Spider-Man suit abandoned in an alleyway. Their universe has a Spider-Man, and he somehow goes missing. And this guy who's like a great climber but nothing much else, he finds this suit and he's like he becomes Spider-Man basically.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that was a really great take on the Spider-Man mythos I saw, and I really enjoyed that. So like that's the thing. That's what I miss in adaptations of or whatever you want to call it now, multiversal. Yeah. That of Spider-Man, right?
Well, that's the beauty of the character is that, like, I know that's something they said early on that, like, because its entire body is covered, anybody can be Spider-Man. You don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And they sort
but
of.
That's the thing is that's why I really enjoy Miguel O'Hara mainly because he is Spider-Man, but he is so different from Spider-Man. Yeah. Couldn't be any more different.
Yes.
Like his entire background is different to Peter Parker, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Who else do you want to throw out there? Like pretty much anyone else.
His origin, even because I actually just started rereading the whole run of it because I got the Marvel Unlimited app a little while ago. So I was I have all the trades, but I was like, sometimes I like to read when I'm trying to fall asleep, so I'll go through a few issues. Yeah. And my wife doesn't like the light on, so I just read on the tablet. But the Miguel O'Hara stuff I've always loved. I mean, I've always loved. I'm a graphic designer by day. That's my job. So design wise, I've always thought his costume is one of the coolest.
It's amazing
ever. I love your versions of it too, by the way. Like, so I'm looking at your art on IG, and it's gorgeous stuff. But
you saw my stuff.
I'm looking at some of it on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's gorgeous. The thing. I always think his suit should have been black. I understand why. Printing limitations, like the reason why Spider-Man suit has blue in it and all that stuff. I understand, but his suit should be black and red. And that's the thing is it lends itself to such great design, right? And that's the thing that the character, that along with just his origin, right?
Yeah, like it's not stuck in a bunch. Like it's very different. Yeah. It's not like he lost somebody and then made a big, it's not like a power responsibility moment. He's kind of an asshole that becomes a superhero.
Exactly. Somehow he's like, it feels more adult, more something that you can latch onto.
Yeah.
Rather than, just another, he lost someone and now he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like his parents are assholes. Like every Spider-Man has parent figures are, like great, right?
Yeah, I love
Miles
that.
Morales, loving parents. Peter Parker, loving parents. Bad circumstances, but loving parents. And he just has shitty parents, shitty circumstances.
Yeah.
His his dad is not who he thought he was.
Yeah.
He's just going through the more like people talk about how Peter Parker has it rough. Like, come on, at the end of the day, he has a loving aunt.
Yeah.
This guy can't catch a break.
I love that because I always felt like he like being, you're kind of like most superhero stories, you're kind of a good person that somehow gets powers and then you just become
Yeah,
a good superhero. But
yeah,
his story almost is like being thrust into being a superhero sort of
yeah,
turns him into a good person. Kind
yeah,
of. I mean, he's still
exactly.
prickly, but along
Yeah,
the way he's learning. Like I remember as a kid reading, I think it was issue 8 or something, because I had a scattered
yeah.
issues. The one where he fights the vulture, and then like the vulture's tangled up
Oh
in the
yeah,
net, and he's
yeah.
falling, and he could save him, but then he doesn't. And you're
Doesn't it?
like, and I remember reading that as a kid, thinking maybe I'm not reading this right. There's no way Spider-Man just let that guy die.
Yeah.
And then you go and I read it again. I'm like, oh no, he definitely just let that guy die.
Oh man.
So
Yeah, I
you know,
remember that. That's the thing
uh,
is his stuff always feels like, and that's the thing. I was just talking about it yesterday, or rather listening about it yesterday,
mhm.
that there's not many good runs of Miguel O'Hara lately because no one really tackles that anymore. No one
No,
tackles the fact, like, because Spider-Man has become so popular, they don't want to engage with the stuff of with Miguel's stuff that make him so different from the
yeah,
other Spider personalities, right? The fact that he isn't Spider-Man because he has this innate sense of responsibility. Like,
yeah,
he wants to save people. He definitely wants to save people. That he's
yes,
good, but he's Spider-Man because he thinks that's how his mom will approve of him,
yeah,
right? Like, imagine Peter Parker being Spider-Man because he thinks Aunt May would make Aunt May happy or something.
yeah,
Like, yeah, the fact that he doesn't love himself,
yeah,
right? He thinks his mom thinks he like when his mom finds out he's Spider-Man, she has respect for him.
yeah,
And that's also Miguel. He finds his self-respect in being Spider-Man,
yeah.
whereas Peter Parker is Spider. Like, he's Peter Parker first, Spider-Man second. His
Mhm.
sense of responsibility is something that drives him, whereas Miguel is very different, and that's, I don't know, interesting to me, right?
Yeah, no, and it's a very adult, way to approach it in a way.
Yeah,
I mean, we can get wrapped up into the sort of minutia of like where every character's motivations are, but in the end of the day, it's sort of like good for the sake of good for the most
yeah,
part. Or like
exactly.
Batman, I guess, is different territory, but like Miguel's
Yeah,
in this very human way where it's like I have a low opinion of myself because my
yeah,
parents have browbeat me my entire life, and
exactly,
the one person that I feel like I need to have the approval of is approved by me being this guy, so I'm going to be this guy. And like
exactly.
it's
That's what I
such
mean.
it's and like it's such an adult idea.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I
everybody
mean, and that's why I think it's not like it's hard to sell it to kids, right?
yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But there's room. I think there's room for it. But you're right. Like I've never felt like ever since the initial Peter David run that
Yeah,
it's ever sort of really had the same flavor. I mean, he's
yeah,
revisited it in other books. Like I remember in Captain Marvel, they kind of wrapped up the Thanatos story,
yeah, exactly.
and other things like that. But it's never it is, and it feels like him there. I guess in Exiles, he popped up here and there too. But
Yeah, that's the thing. He pops up here and there. But he's never, not really, lately at least, had much of a singular run that, I don't know,
no,
differentiates him from Peter Parker, like
yeah,
differentiates him from Spider-Man per se, like exploring who he is as a character. There was like, that's the thing. I'm not gonna say bad writing. Like,
no,
they're writing him okay, but
yeah.
not anything that makes him unique, I
Well, and
think.
also like like that last run they did. Well, they're not doing one currently, of course, but the last
Yeah,
one they did, where they sort of came out of that Spider-Verse stuff, where he was trapped in the modern day.
yeah,
And it's like I just felt like they got away from everything that made him interesting. Like he's
yeah,
basically just another Spider-Man stuck in the modern day.
exactly.
And like he doesn't have any of his cool cast of characters around, like that sort of make him the environment is just back to being normal. It's just like
Yeah,
why not just let him be in 2099 and have that rich world and
I
play with
know.
those characters? Like there's so
Yeah,
much. Yeah, but
I know.
anyway.
That's the thing. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm gonna see if I can take the time to create. I don't know when I'll have the time, but get some free time to make a bit of a self-made, like, personal project, sort of.
Yeah, like a pitch.
I don't know. I'm not sure yet, but like, let's see. But because that's the thing, I have ideas. I
Yeah.
have thoughts on the character. you can see what happens, right?
Yeah, that's sweet. Well, getting into like the art, so did you always start drawing right off the get-go? Were you always drawing as a kid?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much as far as I can remember. My dad was a great artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like he was an architect, so he had to have some background,
Hmm.
but he also just enjoyed drawing some here and there, I think.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and because of that, I picked it up, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, and I enjoyed it, and throughout school I did it. But again, in India, everyone is usually pushed to become an artist, sorry, not an engineer or a doctor, right? No one's supposed to
Yeah,
do
I was
that.
gonna say I'm surprised if they're pushing people to be artists. That's
No, no,
amazing.
yeah, but that's the thing is that, yeah, most of the middle class is usually pushed towards becoming an engineer or a doctor.
Mm,
So that's where I went to. I ended up going towards engineering because my mom wanted me to become one.
mm.
So, but that's the thing. Even in college, I would draw all the time, basically, and yeah, I just kept drawing until I kept drawing and posting online because again, that was the time period of uh, the what was I gonna say?
Like DeviantArt, that sort of thing, like when you're
Yeah,
getting,
yeah.
yeah,
That's the
okay,
thing. I
yeah,
lost the
yeah,
name
that's
completely. I
okay, yeah,
haven't gone on there for so long. I kind of mixed up DeviantArt and ArtStation, and I
oh
was like,
yes, yeah,
so yeah, I post on DeviantArt, Tumblr, even
yeah,
not much, but Tumblr or Facebook, like just posting it around. And that's when I started working in the Indian comic book scene. That's where I started honing my skills per se.
uh,
And yeah, ever since then, just been all right. Like after I graduated college, I just never looked for a job. I found a comic book job in India, and then from there I started freelancing for companies outside India.
uh,
And my first big job was parody show with Ramvi at Image Comics.
hmm.
And once that was done, I think then I just didn't work. I did small work here and there for Boom and stuff, and then I did Dune and Vampire the Masquerade.
Mm,
Dune, the House Atreides, and Vampire the
nice.
Masquerade. One was with Boom, one was with Walt, and that until COVID happened, basically.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then yeah, after that, I think the most notable thing I got into was Marvel.
Yeah. Well,
After
how
that,
did the initial getting into Boom and stuff? Is that all just through being seen on DeviantArt from your work in
yeah,
the Indian comic industry? All right.
pretty much,
That was kind of a
pretty
golden
much.
era then when you could
Oh
like
man,
get
it
spot.
was.
Like I don't hear as many people get discovered in a way that there were. It seems like that time period in like the mid to late 2000s where it was
Yeah,
like a lot of people were kind of like it was like you could talk to your favorite comic people on their message
it
boards.
was. Yeah,
Like I used to talk to Warren Ellis on his message board. Like that was
yeah.
insane. Like and then you would go see all these other comic artists that were chatting on there, and you could go see their stuff on DeviantArt, and like it just was like there were some
I know.
indie like
Yeah,
comics
it
on
was
the
pretty
internet
amazing back
that
then.
were
Yeah.
yeah, like web comics were taking off, and there were kind of people getting a notice from that. Like it was just such a cool
Oh yeah.
era.
I think the webcomic getting noticed through webcomics is still happening.
Oh yes,
It's
for
just
sure.
yeah, it's just that nowadays it's a bit like those everything is so bogged down with AI art that
Oh
it's
god, yeah.
very yeah. Like I tried to delete my DeviantArt but couldn't because I forgot my password, so I couldn't access my account, so I could delete it. But yeah, I'm so very done with that, right?
I guess the Dune thing must have been interesting. So you're kind of jumping into like a huge
Yeah, it
like
was
world,
actually
right?
yeah my first big IP jump, I could say, like you'd say, because it was Dune, right?
Mm.
And that hadn't really done anything bigger than that before. Um, so that was great. Before that, I actually did not as big, but Clive Barker,
Oh yes, yes, big
Nightbreed.
fan.
Nightbreed. I did a comic adaptation of that actually. But again, I was in with someone else. I was joining someone else on that.
Oh, interesting.
So like the one issue was being done by me, one issue was being done by another person, kind of like.
Oh, okay.
Um,
This is a
the-
recent adaptation, Nightbreed. I hadn't heard of this.
yeah, it was a while back. It was
Oh,
like
okay.
I don't even remember. 2017, probably. No, I think even No, that's the thing. I don't remember actually. I think it might be 2015 or something.
Oh, because that movie is like from the 80s, but
Yeah,
or
that's what I
early
mean. So
90s.
like it was a comic book adaptation basically,
Okay.
and yeah, so that was my first brush with a big IP, honestly. So then, but that's the thing. It was still very niche, right? It's Clive Barker still,
Yeah.
so it's still very kind of niche in that sense. Like
Hmm.
in a general sense, like most more people have, I think, heard of Dune than Clive Barker's Nightbreed.
Yeah, probably.
So, uh,
Probably so.
because I was a huge fan, so I was like very stoked about it. But people didn't really know about it when I said, "Hey, I'm working on Nightbreed." But I was really stoked. Like that was my first big job, and I was like, "Yeah, this is cool."
Was that around the time they did the crossover with Hellraiser? They had like a comic too. I remember there was like a relaunch of it for a little while ago, and then they had some kind of a Hellraiser crossover comic too.
I can't recall actually. I don't even
Yeah.
recall any Hellraiser comics. There was I mean, although that wasn't really Boom.
Mhm.
It was Ben Mears, and it was an editor. I, I think he's at DC now. I'm
Ah,
not
okay.
sure. But back then he was doing. I think he was editing the book, and he pro brought me over to an anthology that actually dealt with the Hellraiser
Oh, okay.
and stuff. It was like a bunch of small stories. That was my only brush with Hellraiser, but other than that, it was mainly Nightbreed.
Cool. So you said you had a love of Nightbreed already, like you'd seen the
Yeah,
film.
I enjoyed Clive Barker stuff, and had seen a bit of Nightbreed before, and I kind of liked the idea.
Hmm.
So, and being able to draw something that had a movie going was like very exciting to me. So that was my first brush with an IP, and then it was Dune. Yeah,
Hmm.
so Dune House of Atreides was really cool because I got to draw. Um, uh, yeah, Paul, right? Yeah,
Yes,
Paul.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Paul. So Paul Atreides. Um, no, Leto. Leto, right?
Oh, which yeah.
I keep getting confused, but basically the main protagonist's dad, right?
Oh, yes, Leto, yeah.
Yeah, Leto.
Yeah.
Yes,
That would be Oscar Isaac in the movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I got to draw him, and that was actually kind of cool. With the movie
Yeah.
coming out, I was like, "Oh, I'm drawing Oscar Isaac," and which is very funny because I also drew Spider-Man 2099,
Right, yes, of
and
course.
now I'm doing Moon Knight. So I'm just following Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac's career. We gotta hopefully he does something else that's comic book
No,
transferable soon, so you can, you know,
I'll
work.
about that too, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just a straight line from me.
That's really funny. This is
I know.
A Venn
I've been
diagram of
thinking
Oscar
about that.
Isaac.
Like, yeah, he's not the face of Spider-Man 2099 or anything, but
No.
considering how that version of the character has gone crazy, he might as well be.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that version of the character is far from
yeah,
the one
very,
that I have in my
yeah. But
head.
that's what I mean is that, but that doesn't matter to anyone apparently. So, um,
Yeah.
just say Spider-Man 2099 is Oscar Isaac, then I am just following him around,
Yeah.
following
Yeah,
him.
I guess that's it, right? Like, I suppose you can rationalize it by saying it's a multiverse version of Spider-Man
Yeah,
2099
yeah,
because he's really
yeah,
huge too, right? Like he's
yeah, exactly.
just massively
Ah,
big.
right. That's the
And
thing. It's like it's a very cool design.
yeah, and I
I
can
think it
see
was.
why maybe a layman might look at it and think, well, this guy looks like a villain, so let's make
Yeah,
him the bad guy.
that's the thing. I think Christopher Anka did the designs. If
Hmm.
I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure. Like he did some concepts. I don't know if he did the final design work, but he was definitely involved. So yeah, like Christopher Anka always brings it with his designs, right?
Hmm.
He's or they. I'm not sure. They have such a great eye for design.
Hmm.
Really, I saw their Emma Frost design. If you haven't, you should check it out. He
Oh,
has
really?
great Emma Frost design. The way he does the high heels, I like still think about it sometimes. Like I had never thought about it, and it's very much like yeah, it's just such a cool design. He's just got a very cool eye for design. It's really cool.
That's always really neat when you like as an artist you can always like that when I've talked to other artists and they talk about like the artists that sort of inspire them.
Yeah.
Like I know I talked to Johnny Christmas and he was talking about I think Frank Whiteley as well and some other
Oh,
people.
Johnny, yeah, man, Johnny,
Yeah,
so good.
and you look at his stuff and you're like it's funny how the people that inspire you are never people that are similar to you.
Yeah,
You know, you're never like this. My
that
style is very much like you and Frank
that is
Quietly are like night and day, but it's amazing that you love him, right? And that it inspires you.
my. That's the thing is that I think everyone has their own little comfort zone, but the
Mm,
comfort zone doesn't really dictate what you like, right? Or who inspires you. Like another one of my biggest inspirations is actually Olivier Coipel. Olivier Coipel is
oh
just
yeah, he's great.
he's his work is basically his work, and McNiven's work is what basically got me into comics. Got me,
Really?
yeah, like those were the Marvel books that I saw, and I was like, man, that is so cool, right? Like just his work on Siege, because again, Coipel has such a cool style. If you look at it,
Yeah.
he knows exactly when to do backgrounds and when to not do backgrounds. And I think he's kind of, I don't quote me on this, but he might actually be the godfather of the hazy background,
Mm,
right? It's just
yeah.
something, but you don't know what it is, but it also pushes the action to the forefront. You don't need to know what it is, right?
Mm,
It's just hatching, but it is there. And yeah, it's like that's something that a lot of artists struggle with, I think. Knowing when to let go, knowing when to stop. And
yeah.
that's something that I struggle with. That's something I think it's one of the biggest challenges as an artist.
Well, that's
And
a skill almost in itself, right? Because you
oh yeah,
like there's a if you don't have unlimited time to
yeah,
create, so you need to
exactly,
find a way to maximize the time
yeah,
and create the best art within those
exactly.
parameters. It's like I guess back in the old days, like I remember reading something about this and it really spoke to me as an artist a bit myself,
Yeah,
and I'm sure you will as well. That like back when like the masters were making paintings and the painting
yeah,
was like done, and they
yeah,
would take it and put it in the museum, and the
yeah,
masters would still come into the museum and work on it little bits here and
yeah.
there until the point they'd be like, no,
Oh,
it's
that
done, it's done, it's over.
I don't
They'd
know
have to
about
kick them out and stop them.
I don't know about a master, but man, I have actually they will never tell me because they're too polite, but I think I might have pissed off some Marvel editors
Oh, really?
because I keep going back to them after I've uploaded everything. Because I go back to my pages and I look over them and I'm like, oh man, that could have been better. Hey guys, can I do a small edit to this page? Like it's okay, you don't have to pay me or anything. I just and most of them will indulge me because it is actually something that would make it better. But
Mhm.
most of them are like, it's okay, right? No one's gonna, no one cares much. And I'm like, I care a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's like nobody else will, but you
Yeah,
like you'll look at it and that one little like line or something will just
yeah,
will be like the telltale heart under the floorboard
yeah,
for you, just
exactly. That's what I
eating
mean.
away until it drives you
Yeah.
insane.
I think I was on Spirit of Vengeance issue 3 that came out like in November, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and there was this page where I forgot to do the gutter spaces.
Oh,
The panels kind of like merged into one another. And we were running a little bit late on that. But I was like, oh my God, can I please just fix this? And my editor was like, it's colored, right? So I think it'll be fine, right? And I realized that she was saying, it's fine, just let it
yeah,
go. I like she's really nice and
yeah,
thing is like she's amazing, you know? And but that's the thing. I knew that that's why she wouldn't be the one to go like, stop,
mm,
please, just stop. She was
yeah.
like, it's done. It should be fine. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Well, that's the work of a good editor. Like
Yeah,
it's their job to kind of
no,
obviously protect you guys a little bit, but
honestly,
also
yeah,
keep you in check too, right?
yeah,
So,
exactly. That's the
yeah.
thing. The thing is, I have been blessed with very good editors.
Mm,
As you think about it, um, most of the editors I have worked with, especially in Marvel and stuff, and even outside of Marvel, have been so great,
mm.
and I'm just lucky that way.
Well, it's kind of a relationship that doesn't get discussed a lot. You certainly don't
Yeah,
see a lot of movies or TV shows about a good editor and a good creator. Usually, it's
yeah,
like, the editor is usually the villain of the piece,
yeah.
in some ways, and
Getting
often
in the
in
way of the
people's,
artists,
yeah, exactly. You just
messing
don't
with the
get
artist
the
vision.
art. But
Yeah,
it's that weird tightrope of having to make something
yeah,
commercially viable, but also make it art, right? So
exactly.
there's just
That's the
two.
thing. I've encountered different editorial styles for sure. There have
Mm,
been editors who have been very vocal on changing layouts in the way that they saw fit, and there have been editors who are like, "You, if you think this will work, then you go ahead. I trust you."
Yeah, I think that's a
right?
better method. You have
And
to like trust the artist.
yeah, like that's the thing is, I think it also happens changes when considering how long you've been in the
Mm.
spot, right? If you just come into Marvel or something, they're probably gonna give you some input, right? No matter how what kind like. Uh, it's based on the editor's taste, but also they're like trying to see what you can do, right? And if
Mm.
you throw in some layouts that they're like, okay, this is my view on it, they're going to tell you. But once you have a working relationship, they might change over time. So it might not even be an editorial style per se, as much as like, we are trusting you with this property. We want to see if you're doing it right, right?
Yeah. I wonder how far you have to go before they like I'm sure Frank Miller doesn't get a lot of or like or some of these other people get a lot of
Oh
editorial
man,
input.
have you seen the
Yeah, yes, I have.
and I'm people are so mean, man.
I
They're
know.
like,
It's
it's fine.
so
Oh, Frank
cruel.
Miller's art looks so bad. I'm like, dude's like 90. No, he's not 90, but dude's like, come on, he's done his stuff and it's good. Like I like it. It's
It's
so
fine. It's
yeah,
different, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's
yeah,
very
yeah,
different, but like I to take it and put it beside Sin City,
yeah,
you're never that comparison is never gonna
yeah,
help make anyone happy. But
exactly.
it's for what he's doing in his age and
I think the thing about that is I think he also knows what he's doing and he's just taking advantage of it because it's like he has always, if you look at his art, he has always done this.
oh yeah,
He's never been a person who's like, okay, like his initial stuff, maybe for Marvel, like the Daredevil stuff,
yeah, like way
uh,
back when, yeah,
way back when. But ever since that, his style has not really been pretty, right?
no,
His style has always been the style that is, yeah, everyone looks chunky. Everyone has,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's been
There's
very,
almost a substantial difference between Batman,
yeah,
The Dark Knight Returns, and then The Dark Knight Strikes Again. Like you look at the art in both those books, they're very different.
very different. And that's the thing is that I think it's people are like, oh, his style, it's so ugly. And I'm like, yeah, but that's why. Okay, have you? So you are then probably a person who has never seen Frank Miller stuff then,
Yeah.
because it's not that much uglier than what his
No,
usually look.
no.
Have you seen his Superman? It looks like a homeless man took twice and got hit by a truck. Like it's not fun, but that's his point. His strength is in his storytelling, and you can see that. And his work is elevated. Like you don't look at his work in Ronin and go, "Oh my God, that's it's so weird." No, it's amazing. It's like
Yeah. And
he,
it's almost it's funny too because it's almost like becoming its own sort of like it's almost like
yeah,
making fun of this or at least or putting him in roles where his art is front and center like with that Galactus cover for
yeah,
the Hulk thing or whatever.
yeah,
It's almost like it's getting enough attention. It's like free advertising
yeah,
'cause everyone's talking
yeah,
about it.
advertising, yeah,
So everyone's gonna like hear about the book and see all the stuff like the Deadpool
exactly
Wolverine cover
what
he
I
did
mean.
like it's
It's getting the name recognition, but it's also like people are coming to gawk at the ugly thing. Whereas he's
yeah.
like, yeah, this is just who I am. And the other thing, the guy is a master, and he has inspired so many people. And yeah, okay, you think some of his recent work is not great looking. Again, that's
Well, it's like one of those things. Like this is something I've talked about quite a bit with other creators. 'Cause I'm sure I mean, you're probably not immune to seeing online people's comments and shit. It's like if you don't like the thing,
yeah.
then don't buy the thing.
Don't buy the
Just go
don't
about your
talk about
life.
it. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna what are you expecting to change
Yeah,
by talking online about? Oh, if his art is like, what is Frank Miller going to look at your comment and go, "Oh my
yeah.
God, why?" Like,
Joe Smith in Oregon really hates
yeah,
my work. I'm gonna have
oh
to.
man,
I better
what?
quit now.
Oh, so much backlash. What am I going to do? He's like,
Yeah. He's
yeah,
gonna get his check in the mail and cash it and go about his life like a normal
yeah,
person. It's like, I mean, the idea that like it's funny because the internet is so strange in that sometimes if there's enough public outcry, it can make a difference. And
yeah,
I often wonder if that's a good thing in a way that like it emboldens people to think that now everything is possible to be changed. And
yeah,
like nobody really does a good job of trying to figure out what battle is worth
yeah,
fighting and what one isn't. Because
exactly.
most aren't, but a lot of people are like, well, I don't like this cover. It's like, whatever. Read the comic. Don't look at the cover, if you
Yeah,
want the comic so badly.
absolutely.
But yeah, or don't go buy that Frank Miller original art, whatever.
Yeah, don't. There's more for people who actually want it. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank Miller,
Like,
for God's sake.
it's just such a wild world. Like it just
Yeah. I think
every.
Sin City, I think, is definitely something that changed the way a lot of people saw comics.
Oh yeah, it was.
Like even like how people say that everything has been done under the sun.
Mhm.
Like not no like before Sin City, yeah, there were some artists who were doing that, but it was pretty niche. But he made it accessible. He made that style very mainstream. There's like that's amazing. A lot of my work is very inspired by his stuff. I always try to look for compositions because yeah, it's something I value a lot in my work, right?
Well, it was an inroad to like appreciating alternative types of artwork. I guess
Yeah,
like for me, it's like around the time that Sin City was really in the focal point. Like
yeah,
I remember mostly seeing it through like Wizard magazine, and then like
yeah,
that would show you that, and then you'd see all this other indie comic stuff
yeah,
where like all this like more cartoonish art, but like and not really superhero stories. Like it would just start opening the door to like, well, here's this dark crime comic, but then here's
yeah.
this nerdy comic about people working in a comic store, and then like you're like, oh well, comics are beyond superheroes. This is like
Yeah,
there's a whole wider world of
definitely. That was
storytelling.
the first times that I did realize that comics are not just superhero stuff, right? That was definitely that time period.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great. I've talked to there's a few people that I've sort of discovered their work through that time period for me as a kid, and I managed
Mhm.
to talk to a few of them on the show, and it's been like Alex Robinson that did Box Office Poison. I talked to him, and that was like a big book for me growing up.
I see.
A dream of mine would be to have Jeff Smith on from Bone, but
Oh yeah.
that's eluded me so far. But someday, I did send an email and I did talk to someone in his camp, but I never got a chance to do it yet.
Ah,
So maybe I'll try again
here's
someday. But
wishing it happens for you, man.
yeah, that'd be lovely.
I met a lot of my heroes at fan expos.
Oh, excellent.
Oh yeah, like man, meeting Steve McNiven is like, yeah, that guy. His Avenger stuff was so good. I was like, I looked at it back then. I was like, how does he do it? It's so detailed. And back then he was doing interiors.
Hmm.
So like, man, how did you do that?
Yeah, like his Civil War stuff is insane. Like
So
it's
good, so good.
and it's yeah, no, he's a really cool guy. He's always
Yeah,
seemed very quiet every time
very quiet.
I met him. He's very demure kind of guy.
It's funny because Jed introduced me to him, and then he showed him my stuff on Vengeance, and he was like, "You need to stop drawing." Okay.
Is that what he said?
Don't
Like
draw.
you got to know when to stop.
No, you gotta stop drawing because like he said it more along the lines of, yeah, if you keep drawing, then you're gonna get better than me.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
he's that's the thing. He's very nice. He's
uh,
way too nice, right?
well, it's
I
also
also
great
met,
because the
yeah,
art community, especially, it seems like because I've talked to quite a few people from Toronto
yeah.
that all work for Marvel in the Raid studio system or just outside of it, and everyone just is so proud of everyone else. Like the
No, yeah,
community seems so
that's the thing.
yeah, like so happy that of the success for everyone else and the
Yeah,
get-togethers and the building each other up. It's lovely.
yeah, because that's the thing. I also met like Adam Gorham,
Yep, I've had him
uh,
on the show.
Dylan Burnett. Yeah, like that's the thing. I get to meet all these people who I've only heard of till now. Like we've come up together,
Hmm.
sure. We've like gotten work together. Yeah, we've worked side by side, but we've never really met each other. But meeting them was so nice. Like, and I also got to meet Jason Copland.
Hmm.
He was at Adam's stall. Everyone is so amazing here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was also surprising seeing how many artists I love are actually Canadian as well.
Yes, quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get good stock up here, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, like what is how did the parents feel about you kind of eschewing a career as an architect to go do
Not
comics?
well, not good.
You know.
No, the thing I wasn't. I got into information technology engineering.
Mhm.
Didn't get into architecture because that's the thing. I didn't want to be an engineer,
Yeah.
so didn't do very well on the exams that allow you to. We have placement exams that happen in India
Mhm.
on a national basis, and they rank you, and then you get placed in colleges based on your rankings. So I didn't place very well because again, not not doing the studying thing will do that. But I ended up getting like a good enough rank that I did get to go into a slightly prestigious college.
Mhm.
So I did because my mom said, yeah, you should do that. You should do comics on the side. You can make a living with it. So I was like, okay, cool. And when I got into the college, and once I was in the college, I would just draw all day. Right. And yeah, like that's when I started posting on my Instagram as well back then. And yeah, just my parents were not really happy about the fact that after my college was done, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not looking for a job. I just wanted to do comics. And they were like, okay, then our condition is you need to find a job, not freelance. You need to find a job. So I did go and find a job. I found a job with Graphic India. Graphic India is a comic book slash animation company. And yeah, my first job was there with them in Bangalore. That's central South India. Bangalore is in Karnataka. And yeah, so that was my first job. But again, the job thing didn't last very long because they would pull me off comics to make me do backgrounds for animation stuff. And I was like, that's not really I don't really want to do that.
Oh yeah.
Again, to them, it's like, yeah, it's a job. You do what you're told. And that's when I got the boom job. I actually got a job from Skybound.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this property, Robert Kirkman has this property. I forgot the name. But yeah, it was really big for me back then because that was like the highest page rate I'd seen back then.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, wow, cool. I get to do this. So then I left the job. But then because I was doing the job and the pages together, I didn't do enough. And the editor was like, sorry, we have to let you go. Now I'm off a job out of a project. So back then it was tough going because again I'm not trained in art. So I had to figuring out all of this on my own.
Wow.
Right. And discipline and figuring out how to get things done was a challenge. But then I got a chance to work with Ram. Ram was a newcomer back then. Ramvi, you know Ramvi, right?
Sorry, what?
Ramvi, Detective Comics.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't personally, but yes.
Yeah, because you know of him.
Yes.
You can hear me, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay.
We just broke up for a second on one thing.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, Ramvi and I were like beginners back then.
Oh really?
Yeah. So we did a book called Black Mamba together. And from there, we jumped into creating a pitch for Paradiso. And that's the thing is, my parents did say that, yeah, get a job. But once the job was done and I started doing, freelance stuff, they didn't really pressure me to get a job anymore. They were like, yeah, okay, it's fine.
You're doing something. You're making money.
Yeah, you're making money, whatever.
That seems to be the most important part. I've spoken to quite a few folks that have, immigrant folks, parents, or come from other countries, and it seems like a lot of it is, get a job.
Yeah.
Get a career, and this little comic thing is going to work out, but be a doctor or be something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So basically the answer is no, they were not very happy.
So you mentioned you had a partner. Is that what brought you to Canada, or is that?
Yeah. I am currently with my partner. We are together. We've been together for 4 years. I only, managed to come here last February, and we've been enjoying time here.
No, excellent. Are they from? They're
from Canada.
Okay. How did you two meet, if I may ask?
We actually met online.
Oh, awesome. I love those stories. You don't hear enough good ones,
So. Online, just talking, friendship, figuring out that we enjoy each other's company. And yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is. And that's the thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying that. That's the thing. This deadline is the only thing in the way, and I'm trying.
Well, I appreciate you taking time away from it to chat with me.
Yes.
I did notice, and just I wanted to ask you a bit about your do you have a preferred aesthetic when it comes. I noticed just glancing through your Instagram,
Yeah,
as far as some of your artwork goes,
yeah,
that you have a real affinity for blacks and reds. Is that just always
yeah.
something that's carried through, or is it just a
Oh,
design choice?
the black and red, I think I got into it when I did a Marvel Alien story.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't remember the date. Yeah, I don't remember the exact timeline, but I did a Marvel Alien story back in January, I think. And it
Yeah,
was
it's only been kind of recent they've started incorporating them into
yeah,
the
yeah.
the
So
Marvel universe.
uh, it was the a spot color thing.
Mhm.
And, and the funny story, they actually wanted they didn't think that I was going to spot color it.
Oh,
So
really?
they were like, okay, send the pages over and we'll send it to the colorist. And I'm like, oh no, no, I'm doing it. And they're like, oh, you're gonna color? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'll color. And they were like, oh, okay, okay. So they just let me color it.
Wow.
That 10 pages of work with Marvel, that my first coloring job basically. And yeah, that's the story of how I got my first coloring job.
Wow.
But yeah, so then that's the time when I figured out that I enjoyed spot colors a lot.
Mm.
And the thing about that is, because it was an alien story, I ended up doing greens and reds, not just reds, because aliens have green blood. So
Mhm.
a bit of that was needed. So I was like, if I just do red, 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 and then suddenly just a green right there, that'll look off. So I'm going to do green, red, and black.
Mhm.
I don't remember if the others, because it was an anthology, right?
Mhm.
So I didn't know if the others also did that. I'm not sure, but mine was green, green, red, and black. Green, red, black, and white. And yeah, most of the reviews were like, "Oh, green, red, black, and white." I'm like, "Fuck." I don't know if that's good, but yeah, most of them enjoyed it.
Cool.
But that is how I got into spot coloring, and that's how I realized that I really enjoy spot colors.
Yeah, it's breathtaking work.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not me; it's the red.
yeah.
I'm
No,
not
it
like,
all works together. But it's so cool, because as a design guy, I have a real affinity for, when you see a team together, they look like a team.
yeah.
And then, like, the way that, like, even just your large picture of all the X-Men together and all
Yeah.
that, like,
Oh,
it just
that
it.
took off for some reason. I had no idea it would take off, man. I was so confused. What was, I was like, what is happening? I just did a thing with Scott and Logan standing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it bugs me when I see people just making Wolverine hunched over for no reason. Like, he's clearly not 5'3".
I know, I
It's
know,
in your art. It's just you
I know.
can't just make someone short by making him hunch over next to a tall guy. Like
Yeah.
that's not how short people work. Let me show you how short people work. They should look short.
Yeah.
Guess what? They should look short. So yeah, I was just pissed off because I did a Wolverine Infinity comic around the same time that I did Aliens.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was fun for me because got to do Wolverine. It was one of my favorite characters. And yeah, I did it in the book and in the comic. I made him short. I made him look short. He looked short. And I had fun with it. And I was like, why can't you make him short? Why does he need to be constantly kneeling beside Cyclops?
Mm.
Or so yeah, I did that, and then people seemed to enjoy it. So I was like, I'll just because I think I didn't really think about the designs before I made them. I just would wake up on the day and just start on a character, do a little bit of research, and then take an hour to do it to just draw the character. I didn't even do a design. Just the character was just that I would draw him, her, whoever that day, and then I would get into work. So that's how that came about, and that's was my exercise into red, black, and white as well. Other
Yeah.
than Miguel, of course.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful stuff. The Wolverine reminds me a lot of Derek Robertson's version of him in the
Yeah, Eric
pun.
Robertson is, I think, one of the better, like one of the, like I'm saying better, but yeah, I'm struggling to remember any other artist, I think, who,
Just drew him as this short, stubby, hairy little dude,
absolutely.
It was the way he should be. But like in those Punisher comics, I don't think it was the Max series, it was the Marvel Knights one.
Yeah.
where it was like Punisher really in the Marvel universe just messing
Yeah.
up heroes. And they had that huge, I think it was the third trade that had like the big fight with the little people that had like had their legs cut off or whatever, that were like in the sewers, and Wolverine fighting them, and like
I
Wolverine.
picked that up. I don't know which one you're talking about.
Oh, it was from it was probably like mid 2000s. It was
Mm,
it's before Ennis did the Marvel Max Punisher.
I see.
He did like a run that was Marvel Knights Punisher, which was, it was the Welcome Back Frank story was the start of it.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I
and then
remember.
it went
And that's the
into
thing. The Knights was something that I always enjoyed.
yeah, it was cool.
At the Knights, yeah, Marvel Knights was always a line because again we couldn't get comics in India.
Oh yeah, well it's like dipping their toe into going in
Yeah,
like it was almost like the transition period between the regular comics and then the Max comics they did
yeah,
later. So kind of like getting people used to more serious, more adult sort
yeah,
of language and stuff.
yeah. I
Uh,
remember that story with the Wolverine and of Punisher, where Wolverine makes fun of him for having health fashion
oh,
magazines in his bag. I was
yeah,
like,
that's the same story I think. Is Punisher like
yeah,
rolls over him at the end with like a
yeah,
steamroller? So it's
yeah,
just like yeah, he like blows his face off and then rolls over with the steamroller and just leaves him trapped under it. So
yeah.
just ridiculous stuff. But
But that's the thing is, Derek Robertson's Wolverine, man, is like that's my biggest inspiration for Wolverine, honestly.
really, oh
Oh
well,
yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
I made that connection.
Always, his Wolverine is always at the forefront of my mind when I'm drawing Wolverine. There's like I have my own little takes, little things here and
Hmm.
there that I do, but overall, I'm like, if it doesn't have that same energy, then I'm not. To me, it's not right, and I get it. Like that's the thing is because I love how Dave Marquez draws, right? His new X-Men stuff. I love his stuff. Like that's the thing is like it takes a very special artist to make me love their Wolverine, even though it doesn't align with what I want.
Mm,
But it
yeah.
is very emblematic of how people draw Wolverine. He's
Mhm.
like got that chiseled face and everything, right? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to accept them as
Yeah. You have to,
as a gross sort of, not gross, but like a hard edge sort of little,
yeah,
little furry sort of dynamo instead of like, there's some weird, like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine sort of injected itself into the
yeah,
way he was drawn in the comics, and then he was sort of like got
exactly.
slightly taller and slightly more attractive, and then it's like
Yeah,
even the version sometimes you see that are supposed to be the hairy little one is still kind of drawn a bit like it's like John Hamm if he had a hairy chest and like a
exactly.
pointy hair or something. It's like that's funny. Well, is that how you approach characters? Like, is there like seminal versions of the way the character should be designed in your head that's informed by the artists, certain artists? Like you say, okay, Wolverine's Dirk Robinson.
No, that's the thing. I think it's more that I think about because ever since from everything I've read about Wolverine before, all the Hugh Jackman
Hmm.
shit happened, um, it was always this idea that the distillation of the character is that he's a short guy,
Mm.
right? The
Yep.
whole point of the character is that like if you make him a 6'4" guy with claws, then I don't know what we're doing, man.
Hmm.
I don't know what we're doing. Like, what's the point? Like, okay, he's 6'4" and he's built like a dump truck, but now he can also heal from it. What is that even, right? It's like making Quicksilver, I don't know, 7 foot and like massively built,
Yeah.
and he also runs fast. Yeah, you wouldn't do that. You would keep him lean. That's characteristic.
Hmm.
Same thing here. Characteristic. To me, character design is built around like deciphering the characteristics, right?
Yeah.
And then you try to inject those characteristics as much as you can in your design,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing is that to me, that's why I think I captured Miguel O'Hara so well because I had a vision of the character in my mind. I had a vision of the character based on what I had read. Right? He's not your fast talking, quippy guy. Like he will make quips, sure, but he's not that. He's more tired with life.
Yeah.
Right? He's strong. He's well built because his the accident gave him that,
Yeah.
right? But otherwise, he's not really. He's Spider-Man, and that's just his lot in life, right?
Yeah.
He's not like he's trying to have fun with it in a very adult way, and that kind of informs everything he does. He's not jumping about, being playful, right? He has a heft to his movement, a slight heft, a bit of not, I won't say slowness because he's super fast, but he has a bit of a less playfulness in his movement. His playfulness more comes from the way he talks, the way he approaches things. So yeah, that's something that I kept in the forefront of my mind when I designed the version I was drawing, and when I was doing the pages, I kept that in the forefront of my mind when I went through the book, and I think it showed. Like, the thing is, if you love a character, you will delve into it, and you will figure out the heart of the character.
Yeah.
And because you love doing what you do and you love the character, you're going to inject it with the love. Think about Alessandro Cappuccio with Moon Knight, right? He probably loves Moon Knight more than any guy, like, other than Jed McKay, of course. He probably loves Moon Knight more than anyone I know, right? he just loves Moon Knight, and you can see that in the way he draws Moon Knight, right? He has gotten to the heart of the character. There's a quiet, controlled coolness in the character, but also the violence is brimming right there. The way I approach Moon Knight is kind of same, but also slightly different. I tap more into the violent side. Like, he looks like a time bomb that's about to go off. All of his actions, like anything he does, feels like he's just about to pop, right? He's about to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I try to inject into Moon Knight. And yeah, issue 4 is coming out in Jan, so you can see it there as well. But that's the thing. If you checked Vengeance of the Moon Knight, which you should, by the way, it's really good.
Oh yeah.
Self plug. But if you check that, that's the thing. I think the reason I think the editors like having me on is because my style kind of complements Alessandro's. It's a bit different, but it's also kind of in the same vein. Like, a lot of people understand how our work flows together, right? Alessandro does an issue, but now he's off, so I'm on it on a more consistent basis. So, but that's the thing, is that we tap into two different aspects of the character. And to answer your question, yeah, like, that's how I usually approach character design, is less thinking about, not less, more like thinking about the character's design per se is less important than thinking about his characteristics.
Yeah, so that informs the design.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Was there any character that, like, some dream character you haven't got to work on yet? That
Miguel. I want to work on Miguel.
All right, so that's
I want to work on Spider-Man 2099, man. Like, that's the thing. That's my dream. Because that's not dream character, but also Wolverine is also one. I would love to work on Wolverine, but I recognize that that's purely because Wolverine is such a, like, I grew up loving Wolverine. That was my favorite character growing up, right? So I recognize that because, again, I also I'll have to. It would be more. I have already worked a little on Wolverine. I would like to work on some mainline comics with Wolverine as well. But overall, I think I would love to actually work on a Miguel O'Hara book, mainly because there's not many books with Miguel in them out there, right? You struggle to find a mainline Miguel O'Hara Spider-Man 2099 book out there right now, like, and especially more so ones that are connecting as much. And I just think that I could, like, I'm gonna have to sharpen up some writing skills. But again, if I get someone like a good writer as well, like Steve Orlando did great on the issue I did. So if Steve Orlando comes on and we get into a thing, I would absolutely love to do that.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic.
But that's the thing. I am actually very interested in doing a black, red, and white. So that would be actually my dream project, doing a black, red, and white Miguel O'Hara book.
Dude.
Sure.
Looking at your stuff on Instagram, like, I can even imagine how beautiful a book that would be. So hopefully that dream gets to come true someday.
And I think it's less it's less what my dream project is, more of because that thing, I also, ever since I started doing the X-Men, I'm like, I was thinking about doing a short comic with Scott Summers in it, because I had a specific idea for Scott, right? Because the way I designed him, he has like I gave his visor a bit more of a complexity to it, and he kind of has these arm guards, and those arm guards basically have like circuitry in them, so that he doesn't always have to touch his thing to.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's also that he has multiple settings that he can fidget with. So the story would basically deal with him fidgeting with the macros, trying to get it right, and him just spending hours and hours just trying to perfect the scenario using that, not just trying to perfect a scenario, but like obsessively trying to get everything right so that there can be no error, right? And that's something that I was thinking about, and I was like, that would be cool. That thing, I'm not a big Scott Summers fan, right? But that would be that's cool.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the thing. Cool stories that you want to do are, I think, better than dream projects.
Yeah. So it's about what's next, not end goal.
When you have those dream projects, you kind of get stuck on them. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. When you get stuck on that stuff, it can mess with you. Because when I got my first book at Image, I had this goal that I wanted to have a book from either Image, Marvel, or DC by the time I was 27, right? And I was 27 when I got the Image book, right? And I was like, okay, that's my dream done. Now,
yeah, it's over.
Now what do I do?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And after that, when I got into the slump I realized that it doesn't really matter, right? Just think about the next cool thing you want to do more than, oh, I want to work on this character. Yeah, I guess. Like, everyone wants to work on the character, but why are you waiting?
Yeah.
Why are you waiting to work on the character?
Yeah.
If you want to, you just work on it.
Yeah. And then, the chips will fall as they may.
Yeah.
You know.
Another thing, they don't even need to. That's the whole point, is that you want to work on Cyclops. Why do you have to have it like? Is it about the like? Yeah, that's the whole thing. There's a whole thing where people are like, "Oh, he's an official Marvel artist." Oh, I'm like, yeah, but what does that even mean?
Yeah, you're right.
If I make a story about Cyclops, why is it less valid than what? I don't know. I'm saying Gail Simone's name because she's writing it right now.
Yeah.
Gail Simone or Jed McKay, like, they're writing X-Men right now. But if I make an X-Men book that I have a story of in my head, why is that any less valid?
Yeah.
It's not. It's just that there's this coming out from Marvel. Mine is going to be me. And I'm not going to, of course, monetize it, because then Marvel will my ass if they even notice me. But other than that, I'm just making it. And then I have worked on Cyclops.
Yeah. It's art for the sake of the art, and for exactly. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I should let you get back to work, man. I think I've taken enough of your time. But
so I have to get done.
Yeah. So Moon Knight number 4, or is it the
Fist of Khonshu is coming out January 25th.
Right.
Fist of Khonshu issue 4 is going to be it's going to be crazy.
Oh, awesome. Great. Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Let me know what you think of it when you get it.
Oh, absolutely. I'll drop you a line. And thanks again for the chat. This is great.
Yeah. Great talking to you, man.
All right. You have yourself a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There it is, my chat with Devmalya Pramanik. Very great conversation. Really enjoyed it. Man, what a cool guy. Amazing art. Like, I can't describe it. If you're just tuning into every episode, you might not be familiar with his work. Go check it out. It is gorgeous. And Marvel, I know you're not listening, but God, if somebody from over there is listening, give this man a Spider-Man 2099 book to work on. His art is gorgeous. Check out his Instagram, man. Those Spider-Man 2099 black and red and white images are breathtaking. And I would love to see a whole book or series of that. It would be so freaking cool. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it with you. I'm gonna let you go because it's almost New Year's, and you got to get ready. You got to go buy some drinks if you partake in that. You got to go get some snacks. Got to make your plans. You got to pick out your outfit. You got to get out there for when the ball drops, when the clock strikes midnight. You got to be celebrating. So you've listened to a great episode. Now it's time to get out there and celebrate the incoming 2025. You might, if you're not happy with everything that occurred in the past year, and I know a lot of people aren't. Hell, I mean, it sucks. Believe me, I understand. But a phrase that I've come to say quite often is, everything's temporary, and this too shall pass. I did not invent that. It's failing me as to who said that originally. I feel like it's an old thing. But anyway, this too shall pass. So things will change. The world's cyclical, time's cyclical. In a way, kind of things keep coming back. So the good times will come back too. So chin up. And have a great attitude for the year to come, because I think it's going to be a good one. And I think if we all think that, maybe it just might be. So you have yourself a great evening on New Year's. You have yourself a great welcoming into 2025. And I will catch you with our first new episode in the new year, next Monday, with Megan Hetrick, who does some beautiful artwork as well, currently going on over there. And that's a great conversation too. So join us for the start of Season 6 in 2025 with my first guest. Oh, so good. My first guest, Megan Hetrick. So I look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, have a great New Year's. Catch you in 2025.
The Graphic Histories Podcast is a proud partner of the United Federation of Podcasts.